It's the 20th of March, 2025. We are now halfway through our 8th year in dealing with Dallas, Oregon DHS CPS, who put 2 of our kids in foster care and left them there. And we have been having 1-hour visits per week for the last 8 years, with some variations on that. So I want to bring you up to date. Our 2 little ones were TPR'd back in, I believe, December. And that was under Judge Caso, who stated in his final statement that an ex-wife would have no reason to lie. It's a very interesting planet that Judge Caso comes from. So he chose to TPR these 2 kids. The case is in appeal for Alum McDaniel and Ape McDaniel. And Judge Hill is the one who had the case for many years. He's a real estate lawyer by background, but abracadabra, he is now the expert on family affairs. And if you're a man in America, you know how corrupt family court is and always has been. Judge Hill was no exception in how he handled this case. My wife asked for an extra hour with her kids on Christmas of 2023, and Judge Hill refused to give her an extra hour visit the week before Christmas. Interestingly enough, just recently, Judge Hill applied again for the Oregon Court of Appeals for the 4th time, 4, and someone else was picked. That's 4 times Judge Hill has been rejected for the Court of Appeals. And that goes way above and beyond our case. They don't want him on the Court of Appeals. Lawyers in the region don't want to serve in his court. And the fact that he was rejected the 4th time adds to what I said about him in court, about the resentment to him and his treatment of lawyers, the treatment of families in Polk County at the Dallas County Courthouse. Now, I was told by Lorelle Gould, who is the supervisor, one of the supervisors at Dallas DHS office here in Oregon. Amber McClellan is in there in the mix. Sarah Scott, a caseworker, and Sarah Hernandez, the DOJ person. And we also have Caso, Neil Clark, and the attorney for the 2 kids, Steve Walls. Now, Lorelle sent me a email telling me that our last visit with the kids would be the 26th of March, which is next Wednesday. So I thought I'd make this video because she's a real unhappy person, Lorelle Gould, and pretty mean-spirited. And that isn't just my opinion. That comes from other people that I know who've dealt with her. And she wrote me and said, you can't talk about the fact that there's a website for the kids. So alummcdaniel.com, apemcdaniel.com, and the Alum Ape McDaniel YouTube channel. You can't talk about that during the visit. Now, my question is, why not? What are you afraid of? You are the evil people who want to alienate 2 kids that Steve Walls and others admitted in court love us, and we love those 2 kids. It's not up for debate. We love them. We always visit them. We take care of what they need. And we have a very good relationship with those two kids. So DHS, Lorelle, Judge Hill, Judge Caso took it upon themselves to say, we're going to destroy this relationship and we're going to end any visits between those two kids and their parents, which is my wife and I. And so they are working to implement alienation. They always have. All right? And they've used lies and deceptions and twisting things. I'm sure that they've lied to the kids. Your mom didn't show up to the visit because she was confused. Things like that. Sarah, Aubrey Havocost, the first caseworker, Russ Waite, the second caseworker, and Ross Waite, and now Sarah Scott. They've always done that. So here you have two kids that love their parents. You got parents that love these two kids. And the state of Oregon, the sewage state of Oregon, is doing their best to alienate these children from their parents. Okay? So then that brings us down to the foster mom, Carissa Vela, and Aaron Vela. Carissa Vela has been paid for over 7 years to house these children. She didn't have a daughter, so she was basically promised that you'll get to keep this baby girl that we snatched from her mother. And so Carissa Vela, no matter how much food my wife sent home with the kids, has never written a thank you note, has never acknowledged any of the kindness that their mother has extended sending home with the kids. And Carissa Vela has colluded with DHS to make sure, completely, absolutely sure, that in 7 years, we never had the kids for a visit on a holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, New Year's, Mother's Day, or their birthdays. Never in 7 years. That's not accidental. That's an intentional effort to make sure that nothing good happens with the parents on special days. Matter of fact, on a number of occasions, visits, community visits, the little girl was pulled out of the visit at the last minute and excuses were made. Judge Hill tried to vilify the situation. He's a very evil man, Judge Hill. And one reason why he's not on the Court of Appeals. Someone who goes out of their way to be cruel to a woman is not a good person. And so Michu wanted to call in and talk by video with her kids, and they told her, oh, that can't happen, more alienation. And so Lorelle says, you can't talk about any of this stuff. Can't talk about the future, can't make promises. Basically, you can talk about the weather with your kids. Now, there's a freedom of speech issue here, and I don't think Lorelle's very well schooled on that. So they just make up their rules as they go along. This is the state of Oregon, after all. It's a laughing stock both in the United States and around the world. You see news. If it's some bizarre thing that goes on, you see news in the international press about the state of Oregon. So we have Steve Walls, who had an obligation to recuse himself from this case. He's a lawyer for both Ape and Alum, and Alum stated very clearly that he wants to go home. Well, that would mean that, let's say, if the daughter didn't want to go home, that would mean that he could no longer represent both of those kids. And we brought up a motion in court about this, and Judge Caso just completely disregarded the motion. So if you are in case law or if you're in the law business and you have one child that wants to go home and the lawyer won't represent that child's interest to the court, then you have a conflict of interest. He has to recuse himself. He didn't do that, and Judge Caso was fine with him not doing that. So Alum expressed very clearly that he wanted to go home, both to his counselor and so forth. And so there's where we're at now. Alum is 10, almost 11. Apez 8, almost 9. And so there you have it. Now, Steve Walls has kids. Sarah Scott has at least one child. And Sarah Hernandez, the DOJ attorney, has a child. And all three of these people are okay with these children being alienated from their mother. And that tells you something about them. What was done to the mother of these children was unconscionable, caused a lot of trauma. I have video proof of that. It's so traumatic, the video, that I won't show any part of it. And I want you to see something. This is from a visit on, I'll hold it up, March 12th. This is Alum and Ape. Very happy visit. These are kids that they want to make sure never see their parents again after the 26th of March 2025. So Carissa Vela with House Church in Independence. Well, there's quite a few people in the Hispanic community in Independence and Monmouth who are aware of this case. And they are aware of the fact that Carissa wants to keep these children away from their mother, and that no holiday was ever shared with their mother. And they find it quite disgusting. And apparently Aaron Vela is fine with it and doesn't have the cojones to say anything about it. And so Carissa is convinced that she will be able to adopt these children, and they will soon be teenagers. There's a lot of publicity out there about them and for them, about what's being done to their lives. And this won't end particularly well, because those kids know that we love them and take care of them, and they will know who was involved in keeping them from going home. That's Steve Walls, Sarah Hernandez, Judge Hill, Judge Caso, Lorelle Gould. I think right now she's at the top of the list for the meanness cult. Amber McClellan, Sarah Scott, Aubrey Havocost. They're going to know who the players were in seeing to the alienation that was implemented. So when you get what you got, when you get what you've stolen, when you get what you've worked with other people to get, other people's children, and you go to church and sing about Jesus at the front of the church, and you have had absolutely zero consideration to the mother and father of these children, and you don't think that that will play into the warp and woof of your life, your future, how those kids view you in the future when they understand, when they grasp what was done and how it was done. Okay? Not one single occasion was Ape allowed to bring a note, a Valentine, or anything and give it to her mother. Now, how would that happen unless somebody saw to it that that did not happen? That this little girl will never take a gift to her mother at a visit. It's unconscionable what these players that I've mentioned have done to us. We survive. We carry on. We'll make sure that the kids always know they're loved and that nothing that Carissa Vela can do will prevent them from knowing that they're loved. And they will find out what you have done, Carissa, what you have done, Aaron. Already more and more people in Monmouth and Independence are talking about this, and it will continue to be that way. Because you can't alienate children and hide the truth, that the parents love them and want to take care of them and have a relationship with them, that the kids love their parents. You can't suppress that. When you attempt to and you make efforts to, it makes you an oppressor. Look it up. So, you know, this Elon Musk is running this government department called DOGE, and Department of Government Efficiency, and he's looking at corrupt expenditures. Well, eventually he's going to get around to Social Security and figure out that Children's Services through ASFA is taking children out of their homes in order to get matching funds from Social Security. It's going to come to light. And that CPS is fraudulently removing children, and judges like Judge Hill, Norm Hill, and Caso are facilitating this collusion to remove children and keep them out of their homes. That will come to light. And those people can't change who they are. They can't make it disappear, say it's something that it isn't. So next week, I may or may not have a visit. They're normally an hour, but I'm told, well, it'll be 30 minutes. You can't talk about the future. You can't make any promises. This is Lorelle Gould talking from the Dallas CPS office. You can't talk about the websites or the videos. She's really afraid of the kids knowing what's going on. And her name's all over it. You know, she's in the shit house on this one. And an angry, toxic woman. And a lot of people know that have dealt with her. And so maybe I'll have the 30-minute visit. Oh, you can write like a card while you're there. You can do a card together, and then we'll take some pictures together, and then we'll frame them for you and give it to you. Oh, really, Lorelle? Fuck you. Fuck you, Lorelle. Sarah Scott, Aubrey Havocost, all you people, go fuck yourselves. You're just asshole scum of the earth, okay? And nothing you can do will change the history of these events and who you have chosen to be, okay? And that's what I got to say to you. Go fuck yourselves. It is now the 26th of March, 2025. I had a visit with my 2 children today, and that is going on 8 years that I have gone to visits with my 2 kids. and they told me that this would be my last visit. Instead of an hour a week, it would be only half an hour. And so that's what today was about. I was told that I basically couldn't talk about anything with my kids, although the foster parents and DHS, they can talk to my kids about anything and rig the game, make up stories about, oh yeah, well, you know, there's this reason and that reason why you'll never see your mom and dad again for years to come. This is a picture that Ape and Alum drew for me. We will always love you, Alum and Ape. And Alum, he made this little origami. I guess he's into it. He likes origami. And he made this little origami bird-like thing. And when I was leaving, he told me, you got to open it up because inside there's a note for you. And it says inside here, it says, I will always remember you. I love you, Dad. That's a promise. So somebody told the kids that they were never going to be able to see us again, their mom and I. And Carissa Vela in Monmouth, Aaron Vela in Monmouth, they're totally okay with that. The church people, Ulysses Vela, Mark Senek, Independence Family and House Church, they're okay with that. We've been going to visits for going on 7.5 years. Never had my kids for a holiday or a birthday, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas, Christmas Eve, New Year's, Easter, Thanksgiving, never happened. So that's how today was. Just tell your kids you love them. You always love them. They said you can't make any promises. You can't talk about the future. You can't talk about anything. And all you people at DHS, fuck you. This isn't over. We're going to keep fighting the legal battle for these kids. All you people that stood by and did nothing, fuck you. Okay? All the Christian people that I talk to, all the pastors I talk to, all the people I know who will not arbitrate or do anything, you're useless. And I've come to the conclusion when I think about growing up around the church, I come to the conclusion, I think it was Karl Marx said that religion is the opiate of the people. I've come to the conclusion that evangelicalism is a cult. And if religion is the opiate of the people, then evangelicalism is the heroin of the people. And you can be absolutely sure that if you seek help from an evangelical, they will not give it. They will not assist. They will not stand up because basically they're cowards. I know a couple Christian people that are very good-hearted. I wouldn't classify them as evangelicals because I don't think they are. They're old school. But I remember growing up and the evangelicals were endlessly talking about the Trinity and the rapture. And a whole lot of those people got dead. They're raptured, all right. They're in a grave somewhere. But it was a big distraction for the fact that evangelicalism, in my thinking, is a scam. Or as I said to somebody, you know why there's a church on every corner? Is because a police station would look a little too obvious. So anyway, I never got any of those religious people to look into this story. Um, I've got photos that prove that Carissa Vela is perfectly fine with going up to the front of the church and singing about something while my two children are basically prisoners. Alum wanted to go home. The judge and the attorney said, oh, no, no point in that. I think they exposed themselves to a civil suit. But this isn't over yet. And so I spent the last 30 minutes with my two wonderful kids that I have been seeing for going on 8 years. They tried to put a straight face on it. They tried to make out like everything was okay, but nothing's okay. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know. The glare. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I put it back here. It'll focus. Nah. But that's weird. Camera won't. There it is. There we go. Tried to put a straight face on it. I don't know what people told him, but I told him I probably wouldn't see him for a long time. Don't know. AlumMcDaniel.com, OpedMcDaniel.com, Alum McDaniel, Oped McDaniel channel on YouTube. And their mother loves them very much. But it all goes back to Carissa Vela, because Carissa Vela could have been hospitable, friendly, knowing what it was like for a mother and father to miss their kids. But nothing, I don't know what else I can say about that. I think what was done to the kids, what was done to their mother is unforgivable. Sarah Scott, all the lies they told those children to make it all okay to do what they're doing, to make it okay and say, well, this is, just how it is. You're not going to see your parents till you grow up. And I think about it. I think, will the sorrow that these people have gleefully, happily, aggressively, dishonestly heaped on the children, on their mother and I, on their siblings who came to the visits. There's 4 other siblings that they have relationships with. Judge Caso, Judge Hill, they don't care about any of that. They're just absolute swine. Okay, and the problem in this country is that we have these judges that are accountable to no one. And you've got these relationships, these children, long-standing relationships. Aubrey Habakkos, the first case worker, said when I said, well, the kids are losing their native language, Aka, they're losing it. And she said they can learn it when they grow up. Well, Aubrey, I hope sorrow follows you for the rest of your life. I hope you become very acquainted with sorrow so that you understand that when you maliciously, when you arrogantly impose sorrow on other people, that sooner or later, the way the universe is made, it comes back on you. You tell me in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, if your cup doesn't get filled full of sorrow by the universe that was witness to what you did. A woman from a foreign country who doesn't speak English, who doesn't know the culture, who wanted only one thing, her children. And you took that away from her. And you caused her to go through incredible grief and trauma, and you traumatized those children. You were some of the most despicable human beings on the planet. So, Independence, Monmouth, they're small communities. Lots of people know the Velas, the Vela clan, Abraham Vela, and people talk. And I hope you find out that stealing people's children because a corrupt government system lets you do it isn't the best thing, and it's not right. You steal our little girl, you want to make her your own, she's going to find out what you were a part of when she grows up. The little boy, he's going to find out the same thing. And then we'll see whether the end game, when those children find out what you did to their mother, what she went through, we'll find out if the end game is as interesting as you think it is taking other people's children. Thou shalt not covet. You shall not covet your neighbor's children. Why don't you read that in front of the church there, Carissa? So I had my last visit. The children's mother wasn't there because DHS threatened to take her baby and give it away to somebody like Carissa. So she made a point of not being there. So that's what kind of a day it was. I hope that lots of people find out what's been done here. The Velas can go to whatever lengths they want to hope that Ape and Alum don't find out these videos, and that a lot of people in the community don't find out. But I think they will. We had a farm. We did everything we could for these kids. We bought the ATVs for them little ones for kids. Sarah Scott made this excuse and that excuse, and they never got to ride them. Because that would be a joy, happiness moment on the farm. And she wouldn't want children to experience that. That's the kind of people they are. These are dark, evil people that get their rocks off, depriving kids of experiences, excellent experiences, mean kids. Maybe Sarah Scott's daughter will find out what her mother's been involved in. All right? One day my kids will be adults. Everybody will be speaking freely about this. The winds of time, they change. You think that you're coming out top dog today, and you might find out that when the winds of time change, you're far from anything but top dog. Long ways from that. But the sorrow that you caused their mother, that cannot be forgiven. The trauma you caused these two kids cannot be forgiven. So life will go on, and we'll see how this plays out. It's been a very cruel experience, and We'll see how it plays out. I'm old enough to know from firsthand experience that many times when cruel people thought they knew what the outcome was going to be, it didn't turn out quite like they thought.